The United Stand pre-season tour sponsored by Manscaped. Discover the power of 3 with Manscaped's unique trimmers. Get the right tools for the job at manscaped.com. Manscaped, your body will thank you.
We're going to start off, I'll put it up on the screen for you. So look, it's interesting, I spoke about this a couple of days ago, didn't I? And said that the sale process to me just feels like it's on hold, there's a pause, the Glazers have stopped it. We know that there was the bid from the Qataris came in, what was it, like 5-6 weeks ago, their 5th and final bid, I think it was. So Jim's offer's been on the table for a long time, and there's not been any update in relation to that. So this is what Mike Keegan has said, who's been very good in relation to sale updates, and what he's basically saying is that there is now genuine concern around the sale of Manchester United, that those involved in the sale over whether the Glazers will sell. Some believe that the process may well be paused. The prospect of this lingering until the autumn or even the winter has been discussed in both camps. There's been a few updates come out today, which is interesting because we've sort of commented on it as a community that it's been very, very quiet for a few weeks now. You know, you couldn't move for journalists giving updates on the sale for about 6 months, and then over the last 2 or 3 weeks they've said nothing. So today we've had a few people saying things, and I think it's quite significant that there are now concerns among those involved in the sale that this has been paused. And I think that it's funny because in the Mike Keane article, he said one source close to it has also described it as a charade. Well, if you don't know what the word charade means, it's an act or event that is clearly false. Everyone knew who was going to get the job from the start. The interviews were a charade, for example. So that basically means that somebody close to this thinks the Glazers are playing a game, and that they ultimately had never intention of selling the club, which is dangerous. And it goes on to say that Manchester United are not open. No, that's something completely different. Get rid of that. That's going to upset people. What's that there for? Bloody hell. You're trying to ruin me. You're trying to ruin me. No, it goes on to say that Manchester United are fully expected to be owned by the Glazers when we kick off against Wolves on the opening day. And you know what? I saw somebody on Twitter saying that if the Glazers are in charge on the opening day against Wolves, then why would Man United fans not react with total and utter disdain? You know, it's got to be more than protest. It's got to be, you know, ripping up chairs and stuff like that, which is, you know, but I in no way condone that, and I don't think anybody does. But I do wonder whether the Glazers really think that they obviously don't care. Look, I mean, let's be honest. This is nothing new. This is not inciting hate against the Glazers. What I'm about to say, I've said it for a long time, and many of you agree with me. They don't care. That like the people who get frustrated by this, they don't care. They absolutely do not give a toss about what we think, about what the media think, about anybody what football thinks. They're just making money. What a great way to live, by the way. They just don't care. They don't think we're significant. We are an asset which makes them money. There is no emotional attachment here. There is no guilt when they go to bed. They do not care. They look at the assets. Is it going to make them any money in the next 5 years? Yes, let's keep it. That's simply what they do. And they've ridden out storms for years. Like the Super League was a bloody disgrace. That was behind everybody's back. Fans, football, the lot. And they rode that out with a Zoom call. They will try again to ride this out because they think they're capable of doing it. It's going to be very interesting to see what the reaction is from fans, because ultimately they have, if they stay in charge, they categorically have played us for idiots, and nobody wants to know they're an idiot. And they put this club up for sale in November. We've had months and months of, we could be owned by Qatar, we could go down the Man City Newcastle route, we could get a new stadium, we could get rid of the debt, we could get all this money brought in. And you know what? It's like, you know what? I'm not taking the piss out of people who are hungry, but imagine being starving and the Glazers are like there with a Big Mac, waving it in front of your mouth. You can have it, you just don't know when you're going to get it. You will get it, and you're salivating at the mouth, and then they eat it themselves and walk away. I mean, that's a very dangerous thing to do. depends how many teeth the tiger's got. Depends whether a pussycat or a lion, because they're definitely poking. And, you know, it's a dangerous game what they're doing. I don't know what the outcome would be, but I just think that, you know, I think a lot of what they've done to this club is beyond a joke. It really hurts people. It damages them mentally. It damages them, you know, passionately. And they've done that for years, the way they've destroyed this football club. But if they do what some people are hinting they're going to do now, actually lead this fan base on, you know, flirt with it and say, yeah, that there is a future now, you're going to get your future, and then not do it. I mean, it doesn't bear thinking about. I will give you my opinion instantly. I do not see how they can do this, because they can't afford to do this. Qualifying for the Champions League doesn't get rid of their issues. Like, the Champions League's about 50 million quid. Eric Ten Hag being a good manager doesn't get rid of their issues. The stadium needs 2 billion spending on it. The club is in massive debt. We could miss out on the top 4 next season, even with the transfers that Eric Ten Hag's trying to do. I still think that they will bring investment in. But I think the Sir Jim Radcliffe offer is probably going to be the one they go with. If Avram and Joel want to stay, what happens to the 4th that don't want nothing to do with United anymore? Well, we don't know whether that's true, Darren. Mark, what can we do as fans? Because, mate, I'm fuming. For a decade, it's been enough. What can we do as fans? Because I know everyone feels the same, says Sumi. We need to empty the stadium. That will send one hell of a message, says Tony. The trouble is, I don't think that's possible, because I just don't think people will do it. Mark, the lottery in the USA is 1 billion. When I win, I will help Qatar get rid of the Glazers and make the United Stand the PR channel, says Amir. Thanks for that, mate. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with it. There was also something that came out from The Guardian with Jamie Jackson saying that Al Thani's getting really frustrated and starting to get concerned about how long it's going on. And then I think there was something about Sir Jim Radcliffe, who is prepared to wait till Christmas if he needs to. That's quite worrying if there's any truth in that. And when we're playing home games again and they're in charge, fans need to do more, get games called off, empty Old Trafford, says Cade. Look, I don't want to throw ideas out, because people will say, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. I don't think you can empty Old Trafford, but I think getting games postponed was really powerful. The Liverpool thing, the club shit themselves, to be honest. Everybody knows that. All the fan groups know it. They absolutely crapped themselves when that Liverpool game got called off. I know fans got in the ground and there was all sorts of people on the pitch and they weren't happy about that. But the big issue was getting the game called off. The Premier League were really, really angry about it. The club absolutely crapped themselves. So, look, empty stadiums, protest outside. It depends how far people want to go. But that and the sponsorship things do bother them. The share price bothers them. All that sort of thing bothers them. So what I think the Glazers will do, and LJ says, I've never feared who was the new owner. My only fear was the Glazers staying for many years until the milk runs dry, depth too high and stadium too damaged. And had an amazing time at my first Manchester United game in Edinburgh. Good to hear that, Ross McRae. The first half chances show exactly why we need a striker. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, Ross. But on the sale process, I think that if Sir Jim Radcliffe is saying to the Glazers, take as long as you like, I'll be waiting, and then you've got Al Thani saying, get on with it, I want to buy the club, then obviously that it leans more towards Sir Jim's going to win in the end. And I'll say this as well. Look, Sir Jim Radcliffe's very welcome to get his representatives to get in contact with us and tell us what's really going on. I don't think he'll do it, but you deal with the perception that you get. If Sir Jim Radcliffe and Al Thani both wanted to buy the club, we'd be sold by now. However, whether you like Sir Jim or not, he has delayed all this because he's given the Glazers a way out. He has allowed the Glazers to stay at the club. He's going to keep the debts, and he is telling them to take as long as he likes. That's not in the best interests of Manchester United. This transfer window has been screwed because of it. The start of the season could be screwed because of it, and all because Sir Jim Radcliffe wants to win. It's a vanity project. He's got no interest in what's good for United. He's got interest in what's good for Sir Jim. And by keeping the Glazers and delaying this sale and giving them a way out just to get hold of a club that he will not be in charge of in probably 10 years because of his age, I think this is a short-term vanity project that could do more damage than good. But